Welcome back, you lot. I'm afraid we're running a little bit behind schedule once again because Bestiarum Games' May release has been out for ages and I've only just got round to checking it out. Now, I like to check out every one of their monthly releases because, generally speaking, they do incredibly good stuff. And this month I'm actually super excited about because they're doing more of their Lone Heroes series, which are more like one-off character miniatures for your favourite TTRPG, fantasy-based, whatever that may be, and there's a bunch of them. I really like their sort of character hero models, so a bunch of those new, absolutely spot on. Let's take a look and see what we've got. So to start out with, we have the wizard Alfarion with Voidborn Familiar. Of course he's got a weird little freak with him. Am I going to have to censor the weird little freak? I feel like I might have to censor the weird little freak. That is an interesting start. So, an exiled wizard walks with a thing from the on the world, trading spellcraft for... What did I say there? From beyond the world. Good grief. Trading spellcraft for secrets and survival. So you get one Wizard Alfarion and one Voidborn Familiar. I mean, straight away, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to have to censor that or not. We'll see. Maybe it doesn't count as anything. It's not a person, is it? Is that mean? Is that horrible? I don't know. Look, the wizard looks absolutely top tier. That is a 10 out of 10 fantasy wizard. He's got the robes. He's got the hat. He's got the immense beard. Like, that is a properly big old, like, trope-heavy beard right there. But sometimes that's what you want. Sometimes you want a wizard that just looks like the wizard. You know the wizard I'm talking about. You know exactly who I'm thinking of. You all thought the same thing as soon as you saw him. I don't even need to say his name out loud. You know what I'm talking about. The staff is fun. I can't tell if it's wood or if it's rock. I think it is. I think it's mostly wood. It doesn't look like there's a split in the middle though. So it's like there's two parts of it that have been joined together, which is kind of fun. I like it. The scrolls on the hip look excellent. I like the bag there as well. Just nice little additional details. He looks angry. I'm assuming it's just concentration and he's not actually furious. But he might be. He might be. That's up to you. If you're using him as a character, I guess he can be as angry as you want him to be. Absolutely glorious mane of hair there. Fantastic. Also the seam on the hat where you can see the two halves, like the stitching and stuff. Really like that. Excellent. Also, proper baggy sleeves. Proper, baggy wizard sleeves. Fantastic. Like it a lot. Also, the pose is decent too. This thing is just... They're very good at just unsettlingly creepy and weird creatures. I would argue this falls under that. There's something a bit fish-like about the head, but the teeth are almost upsettingly close to human. I'm not saying actually human. Clearly, they're not actual human teeth. But there's something about them that's not that far off. The weird sort of distended rib cage is really horrible. The fact that the arms are so long and you've got those like really clawed sort of halfway between nails and claws. I mean, he's a horrible little freak. Oh, he's also got a little bit of spinal bumpage going on. Lovely. Gross. What a horrible little guy. Scale-wise, I mean, okay, so we can see the size in relation to a 25mm base, so fits pretty much across the whole thing. And then height-wise, the little lad is properly little. That's very fun. Wizard, not like hugely tall, definitely a little bit tall, but that hat is doing a lot of heavy lifting height-wise. I'd say this is a good start. This is a good start. A proper, just old-school fantasy wizard with a little freak friend. I mean, what more can you ask for? Next up, we have Sir Hadri the Hedge Knight, which feels like it should be more alliteration-y than it is, but never mind. A proud knight clings to honour and ceremony long after both house and purpose have fallen to ruin. Nice bit of built-in tragic backstory as well. I mean, he does look good. He does look good. He does have a little bit of that sort of... No, that's not fair. I was going to say that kind of skinny feel that they like doing with armour. But I don't know that that's necessarily true. I think he's just actually fairly realistically proportioned. Maybe the legs are a little bit thin, but overall, he looks decent. I like the armour a lot. The armour's really, really cool. It's very fun. I like the sort of ornamentation just under the knees there. The bit that I can never remember the name of. The bits hanging down the side of the legs, I can never remember what it's called. I've even got it written down and I still forget. I like the look of it. The silhouette is very good. The pose is fantastic. He looks a little bit snooty, a little bit kind of up himself, maybe a bit arrogant. There does feel like it's like a heroic pose, but it feels like he wants you to know that it's a heroic pose. I don't know how else to put it. The sword is fantastic. I really, really like that sword, especially that nick in the end of the blade there. That's just a nice little touch. Just a little bit of like battle-worn damage going on. Big fan of that. Like that a lot. The crest across the breastplate is very fun. Also, we've got a little tilt shield. Always like seeing the tilt shield. Every time. It's good every time. The helmet, I'm not going to lie, I would have preferred a closed visor. But, that being said, that kind of... Is it the Hussars that had that sort of helmet? That crest going over the top, it adds a kind of regal bearing to it, and I think they've sculpted his face super well. There's definitely like a nobility thing going on, like a noble countenance with the face, even though he looks he looks like he's getting on in years, you know? He looks like he is getting on in years. Also, the fact the armour is in relatively decent condition, it's not like massively worn or dented or anything, but the cloak is fairly tattered. I like that a lot. Like, if you were using him as a character in, like, D&D or whatever, or Pathfinder or whatever, using that cue to kind of hammer home just how well-made the armour and the weapon is compared to the stuff that he carries around that actually ends up being torn and ripped and all that kind of thing. Just a nice little detail that I really appreciate on this guy. We don't seem to have any other angles of him, which is a bit of a shame, apart from, well, I suppose technically he's angled slightly different there, but he is a tall lad. That is a tall fella right there. I don't think he's particularly overscaled, but yeah, he is definitely above the average height for most of the miniatures that you'd probably be using for a fantasy tabletop game. Next up, we've got Ingo the Squire. Bent beneath banners, burdens, and borrowed glory, a faithful squire still sounds the horn for a dead house. That's poetic. I'm assuming the two of these very much a pair, a travelling pair, should you want to do it that way. I do like the pose on this guy. The fact that he is blowing the horn that feels like a euphemism for something, but I don't really know what it would be a euphemism for. I feel like there's an obvious one, but I don't want to go that route. I just quite like the pose. It's pretty cool. The fact that he's carrying a huge shield that he genuinely seems to be struggling with the weight of is a nice touch. Also, two big old swords strapped to the backpack as well. Along with all the other stuff, he's got like the bedroll there, he's got like a sack of supplies. There's a lot going on that he's having to cart round. Again, I like the torn cloth. They do torn cloth very well, Bestiarum. They've got a very specific formula for it, it feels like, but it does end up coming out really well pretty much every time. Yeah, this guy looks good. Again, yeah, so same crest on the shield as on the breastplate for Sir Hadri. I like these two. This is a good travelling pair. They make for a good encounter at some point. I feel like that basis of a house that is long gone and forgotten, I mean, they've done a good job portraying that with these two. There is just enough like wear and damage on the shield that it kind of sells it. The fact that the cloth that they have is that bit tattered and wrecked. Yeah, this is a good combination. I like these two a lot. Height-wise as well, the fact that Sir Hadri is so tall compared to Ingo, that's a nice contrast. That works well. Like, looking at that pose, that expression with that kind of build and height next to this, that's a very fun contrast. I like that a lot. We then have Patrius and Asmeria, either way, the Mendicant Clerics. Two wandering clerics carry the faith into forgotten places, one with restraint and one with uncompromising fire. I really like the robes on Patrius. Like, the detail on the cloth, the kind of filigree and the stitching and stuff, just the decoration and the, like, ornamentation going on is very, very fun. That looks very cool. Also, little tiny pouch on the front, little reagents pouch. Sucker for that sort of thing. Really like it. I do like how one sleeve is gone, or at least the cloak is not covering the arms, so you can see that he is still somewhat kind of ripped. Like, he might not be the one carrying a spiky mace, but he could still clock you. Like, he's happy to read the book to you, or probably to cast a horrible spell on you, but he could knock your jaw off if you really wanted to. He just doesn't want to do that because, you know, his friend's going to do that instead. I really like the design of that staff as well. The staff is very cool. Also, not enough just hooded clerics. I don't know what it is. I feel like there's a lot of armoured clerics out there. There's a lot of floaty robe clerics. I like a good deep hood on a model, and I feel like you don't see it all that often. This is a proper good deep hood. Ismeria looks angry, as I think you would expect. I like the armour design, very plain, very simple, but it looks good. The book being strapped to the waist, I like that a lot. Plus that large cross icon that's kind of hanging from the girdle there, like down the front, that's fantastic. Also, she's doing a sort of bracing on the rock kind of manoeuvre there, but it doesn't look like a pose, it looks like it's in action, which is quite fun. Like the way the cloth is moving at the front of her, I feel like that sells it on movement, which is nice. Also, I think that's a well-sculpted face and hair there. Looks decent. There's definitely an imposing air that comes off Patrius. I feel like he looks calm but in charge. I think it's a mix of the stance and the face being relatively calm, especially compared to his travelling companion. Just a small thing as well, but the braces he's got on, those look really cool. They're just very nicely done. It's a fun contrast having that plain metal with that heavy ornamentation compared to all of the cloth that's going on with him. I like that. I do like that she is relatively plain compared to him when it comes to decoration and stuff. Like, he's got all this fancy filigree and threading and stitching and all sorts going on his robes. Like, there's actually quite a lot there. It's just clustered together in very particular patterns, but it's super effective because it makes it feel quite rich without it being like overwhelming over all of the cloth. Whereas by contrast, she's got like plain armor, she's got a bit of chainmail over the legs, a very plain and dented shield. The weapon is nowhere near as fancy looking as his staff is. Like, it just looks like a fairly standard mace with a bunch of spikes on it. There's not much in the way of flashy kind of decoration going on with her. She's just got what she needs to presumably beat you to death, and that's pretty much it, which I like that contrast. Again, it works super well when you've got someone who is very like regal looking or is very visually rich, I guess, compared to someone who is relatively plain. It works super well. So height-wise, with her specific base, not that far off her just standard 32mm, and he is a little bit taller, but not by much, and even then the staff is doing the heavy lifting on that one. These two are solid. Really like these. I think these might be my favourites so far. These might be my favourites. Granted, the wizard's fantastic, but I don't know. There's just something about these two that's just doing it for me. Now, we also have Lerrin Swiftblade, the rogue. A hooded rogue lives by charm, lies, and leaving before the truth can catch him. Nice. Good proper deep hood again. The hair is dashing. The face, not so much. I'm feeling a little bit of there's a bit of like sunken skin going on there, which makes him look a little bit, I don't know, like not old, but he looks almost death-like, which I suppose if you are a cloaked, shadowy assassin, kind of makes sense. The hand crossbow is cool, but then again, hand crossbows are always cool. I think we can agree on that, right? We can all agree. Hand crossbows are just flat out cool no matter what they're on. The daggers, I like the fact they're slightly different. I'm not a big fan of a curved dagger. I have to admit, I don't know what it is. When it comes to hooded and cloaked murderers, I think I just prefer a more standard, you know, straight blade. But it does look cool. The choice of like pants over trousers is an interesting one on this one. I feel like that. Look, I don't know how to phrase this without it sounding really dodgy, but the bulge is noticeable. All right, it just is. I'm sorry, but it is. Maybe it's because he's got his belt like kind of low down, and that's, I don't know. It's also the trousers are kind of stretching around that area, and there's a lot of creasing and stuff. I don't know, but I'm not sure on the middle section. The cloak is cool. The cloak is fun. Again, bit of torn damage. I like that a lot. The boots, quite like the boots. The like jerkin he's got, where you can see the not the clasp, because it's not a clasp, but like the straps that are doing it up. All of that looks great, but there's just, I don't know, feels like there's something missing right around the waist / upper thigh area, and I don't know what it is, but it just kind of feels like there is. Also, what is that? Is that another? Oh no, hang on. I think that's like a potion in a bag on his side. For a second I thought it was like a lute or something that he'd stuffed into his belt, but I don't think it is that. Although actually maybe it is that. Or maybe it's another crossbow. Another crossbow would make more sense, but then it doesn't seem to... okay, let's see if there's... Oh, that's a shame. That's a real shame. I was kind of hoping that there would be an alternate angle, and there wasn't. So, I mean, place your guesses. Place your guesses on that. Do we think loot? Do we think another weapon? Because it's got, like, it looks solid. It looks like there's a body of some kind, or... Yeah, I have no idea. I can't tell what that is, which is a shame, because I'd quite like to know. But, you know, best guesses in the comments. Now, to finish off, we've got a series of undead idiots along with a Necromancer. So we'll start with the Necromancer, which is Necromancer Murd with Bale Flame Familiar. A gaunt Necromancer and his Corpse Bird Familiar drift at the edge of firelight, carrying death in silence. I do like their little blurbs. The blurbs are good. Now, there's a lot going on here. There's a lot going on. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about this guy. I think conceptually, pretty cool. I like the big, like, metal collar. That's kind of rad. Also, the sheer amount of hair coming off that guy's face is genuinely extremely impressive. He must have been growing that for decades. The cloth I like, but hang on. Let's just see if we've got a rear view. I'm hoping we do, because it feels a little bit incomprehensible right now. It feels like there's a bit too much going on, and I'm struggling to parse it. All right, so we've got like a big stick, effectively, that has these hands holding fire on either side of the shoulders. It's okay. I'm not really feeling it. I'll be honest. I like the sheer mass of cloth, but that's because I like Bestiarum's cloth. I always think it looks decent, and it's always fun to paint. You can get some really nice textures, and yeah, it's just a fun part of their miniatures. But I'm just struggling with this one. I don't think I'm a fan. There's something about that stick being covered in bandages and then having the cloth over the top, but then on either side you've got these additional, I think they're maybe like hands that are made of bone that are holding the fire in place. But the problem is that there's a lot of what is the word I'm thinking of? There are a lot of things on this model that are kind of similar texturally to that fire, because you've got a load of cloth, you've got these huge robes, you've got these bandages wrapping around. The guy's got masses of hair down the front of him, and I think there's a little bit down the back, not as much because the cloak's covering it. But you have a bunch of these overlapping, very like relaxed layers on the front of the model, and then behind the front of the model, and then going into the back of the model, and then sticking out the side of the model, you've got more stuff that kind of looks like the stuff that you've already got on the front of the model, and it's just not hitting quite right. I think the fire, unfortunately, is halfway between the hair and the cloth. When it comes to the texture, and when it comes to the overall styling, it feels like a halfway point between the hair and the cloth, which wouldn't be a problem on a model that didn't already have a ton of hair and a ton of cloth. So it's not quite hitting right for me, this one. The thing is, I think there are bits of this that are absolutely fine in isolation. I think you take away the fire, and you take away that sort of stick arrangement, and you've got a really solid Necromancer. Like, with the massive hair, with all the robes, with that particular cane he's got, that's a really good miniature. I think adding the fire in has actually just complicated it. It's just added more to it that didn't really need to be there, especially since you've already got this huge iron collar around him, which provides a really nice sort of focal point for it. Yeah, I'm afraid this one is not it for me, unfortunately. But what about the weird bird? The bird, and again, I think this kind of highlights it. I think the kind of shadowy, sort of flamey, spirity effects on the bird work a little bit better than they do on the guy, because the bird is otherwise made of bone, and there is a distinct contrast between that texture and the texture of the wings, of the flames coming out of the eyes, all of that stuff. I think that works a little bit better for me anyway. Also, the faces being in the sort of smoke and stuff, that's just a cool touch. That's just a fun touch. I like that a lot. What are we looking at height-wise? Now, the bird's pretty tall. We've got a tall bird. What about the Necromancer? The Necromancer he's so wide as well. He's got some girth. He's got some absolute girth, that lad. Like a lot of girth. Good grief. Okay, we're going to move on to Oathbreaker Aldus, the Fallen Paladin. A fallen knight walks on without faith, carrying a loss like a second armour across the Empire's broken road. They really are nailing the descriptions for this. I'm getting distinct Dolph Lundgren vibes. Is that just me? I feel like there's a bit of Dolph Lundgren going on. I don't know if that's what they intended, but that's kind of what I'm getting. The armour looks good. The armour does look decent. Very pockmarked, battered. That's quite fun. I like the chalice on the breastplate. It's a nice touch. Also, the pauldrons being covered in spikes. A little bit silly, but when it comes to, really showing this is some sort of dark knight, be it an Oathbreaker, paladin or whatever, you can't go wrong with a few spikes on the pauldrons. It's the universal sign for this guy used to be good and now he's not. Again, we've got the repeated thing of having the same sigil on the shield as the breastplate. His armour is really knackered though. That shield has seen some better days. That is extremely scarred. I like it a lot. The weapon's cool. The weapon's cool. Slightly ornamented, but not really. Essentially, again, just a big ball covered in spikes on a stick to beat people with. But it's got those sort of impact craters and stuff across the head of it, which is nice. The actual haft is damaged too. Yeah, this is a fun one. I like this guy. I like Dolph. Dolph's a cool model. Dolph's a tall lad as well. Dolph's not that far off Sir Hadri, I think, height-wise. He's also got some, mass around the chest. He's definitely, more built out than Sir Hadri was. Yeah, I like that one. That's good. And finally, we've got the Dead Men. Death did not break their loyalty, and old vows still dragged them along the road behind their fallen master. Yeah, that tracks. I mean, it's undead lads. It's undead, skeletal, weird lads, and Bestiarum, I feel like their comfort zone is freaky stuff like this. Look at the textures on the armour and the cloth. It's battered, it's ruined, it looks fantastic. The armour, they're so good at armour, and the armour on these is great. Especially where it's, properly scarred. The guy's leg is in severe disrepair. I mean, also, his face is also missing. He's got no skin or flesh on his face, which arguably is a bigger problem. But when it comes to the leg on that guy, I mean, yeah, the skull being partially exposed, the brain being partially exposed, that rotten flesh under the cloth that's torn away. The arm, I've only just noticed the arm. The arm is only half an arm. It's just so good. It's so good. I love these so much. They look fantastic. This is just a silly little guy. He's just a silly little lad. He doesn't seem to have much in the way of outright horrible decomposition going on. But he does look cool. I do like him. The chainmail's fun. That kind of, what's it? Is there a specific name for a breastplate that it protects the stomach and the neck, but it's missing a section? I mean, I know it's not missing it because it was built without it, but I've seen that before, but I've never known exactly what it is. I like this guy. He's not as clearly undead as the others, but I like that as a bit of a contrast. It's because you've seen the others, you know that they are in a state of severe decomposition, so you know that underneath this armour, this guy probably looks just as bad, if not worse. And that's just a fun little thing. The archer having the crow on his head, pecking out his remaining eye, is horrendous. And I love it. That is a 10 out of 10. That is just a flat out, straight up 10 out of 10. Even ignoring the fact that we've got, the greaves have been split open and you can see the bone through his leg on one side. And, the skull detail with the teeth there is so well done. Aside from all of that, he is firing an arrow whilst being eaten by a crow. 10 out of 10. Easy. Yeah, this guy with his extremely mangled leg. That is a bad leg. That is not great. Also, the cloth being torn from one arm so you can see that it's rotting away. Ugh, it's gross. It's gross. It's so good. It's gross. Lovely stuff. Overall, that is some solid work from Bestiarum. Once again, not a fan of the Necromancer. I think that's the only one that I'm really not a fan of. To be honest, the bird is a close second. Not because it's bad, it's just, I don't know, it's not hitting the same as the other stuff in this release, but I think that's also because a lot of the other stuff is just really nicely done. There's some really nicely done stuff in here. So yeah, that was the May release for Bestiarum, and I like it a lot. I will definitely be printing Definitely Not Angry Gandalf. I think Sir Hadri might make an appearance as well, and those dead men, 100%. 100%. They're fantastic. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you thought of that lot in the comments down below. Feel free to click all the things, and I'll see you for the next one.